Yes, hello. I am James Rowlands, and today it's the WNR537. It is AEW WrestleDream, and I'm not alone. I have a pleasure to be joined by the entire WNR team. Up first by my side for every WWE and AEW show, it is a fantastic Jaxie Scarlett. How's it going, Jaxie?
Hello, hello. Happy WrestleDream, everyone. Going all well. How's you, James?
I'm very well. There is a lot going on at this moment in time
There's a
in the
lot.
wrestling world.
There's a lot.
Honestly, we have
We're just
Bound for
trying to
Glory.
play catch up at this point,
Honestly,
you know?
like TNA had Bound for Glory, you've got Crown Jewel going on right now, but we are catching up with AEW, and it's been a little while, but we're going to be good. Like I said, we're glad we're at this moment now to catch up with it.
Yes. I'm excited to get into this and talk about everything WrestleDream.
Right now, well, up next, our resident NXT expert and New Japan demigod, it is Monty. How's it going, man?
Going great. Happy to be here again. Trying to finally get a chance to catch up on AEW. It's great to do what we had to do with NXT. Like you said, we playing catch up all around at this point, but I do think we had a good show, and I think this one will be another fun one. And when you mentioned like what you guys just talked about earlier with so much going on, I wonder how these people who have to report on everything, how the hell are they keeping up? Because every day is something going on, whether it's a news story, whether it's departures, debuts. It's insane. So you gotta love being a fan these days, man. It's just always moving.
Without a shadow of a doubt. And it's funny how I mentioned to Jaxie how much is going on. I forgot to mention Halloween Havoc, which we were talking about last weekend. So, again, it's all about
Crazy,
AEW
man.
today. So
Right,
get to
yeah.
it. But last, but by no means least, because, baby, now we got bad blood. You know it used to be mad love. So take a look at what you've done. Because, baby, now we got bad blood. Now we got problems. Now I don't think we can solve them. You made a really deep cut. And maybe we got bad blood. I went somewhere else for that. But it is Gina. We have bad blood. I had this scheduled. But we're going to still do it, all right? I'm still going to use it. We haven't really got bad blood. But, again, I would say, welcome to the show. You are kind of like the Taylor Swift of the podcast.
It's great. I'm actually sick of Taylor Swift, as I just came from an 8-year-old birthday party full of Taylor Swift. So thank you for adding to that, James. Welcome on in.
I'm glad that you're here. Like I said, usually our ratings bomb when you're not a part of it. Honestly, when me and Monty and Jaxie did it last time, it fucking fell. So I'm glad you're back. Don't worry. Like I said, the whole team is here.
We're all here, yeah.
Well, a lot to catch up on
Why
today.
would you call Gina insufferable like Taylor Swift? Never mind. All right.
See, I'm going to get involved.
That's how you really feel.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. He said Taylor Swift. I'm like, it depends on how you look at Taylor Swift, I guess. But we're going to move on.
Look, just because Monty doesn't like you, Gina, we're going to move on from this awkward segment and move on to Grand Slam. Grand Slam, of course, seems like ages ago, but we started with Nigel McGuinness versus Bryan Danielson. Giles on commentary, and Nigel thanked Bryan when he tapped out. Monty, cast your mind back again, seeing Nigel McGuinness in the ring against Danielson, and again, it was a nice moment considering the history that he did thank him as he tapped out.
Yeah, man, it was just like one of those things that was, I guess you could kind of tell this was on the checklist, maybe of both guys, but especially Nigel on the way out for Danielson to just do it one more time. Do it on a scale they've never been able to kind of do it before. Because if you are a guy who only know about Bryan Danielson as in his WWE career and Nigel from his time as an announcer in the WWE system or even just an Impact, you may not know about the Ring of Honor history and just how much they've, how they were as rivals. And I think what it did for me is, as a guy who wasn't the most familiar with everything they had did before this, leading up to it, I was one of those people online looking at old clips of Ring of Honor matches to watch and see, just how much of a blood feud it was. So to get them in the ring, to get proper context for this match that we saw on AEW's platform, which again, probably the biggest platform they've been able to kind of showcase this type of feud. or them their version of a feud. I thought it was really special just from that perspective. Even if I do wonder if you don't do that or if you don't care that much to go to the history, how much did you care about this? But I do think it was emotional, and like you said, having Nigel have that moment in towards the end of the match was like a nice little cherry on top to kind of put a bow on this rivalry because we know we're at the end of Danielson's in-ring career. So yeah, this is beautiful.
Yeah, really, really good stuff. We see Hook retiring the FTW title in quite an emotional moment with Taz. Unfortunately, Taz was attacked in a car park a week later, which wasn't the best. But, I mean, Jaxie, we've talked about the FTW title. That is gone now. Hopefully Hook can move on. And we've got the story, of course, with Taz being taken out.
Yeah, I mean, I still feel like this hasn't been answered. Like, well, I mean, it has now, but like, you know, kind of like the build up to it has been very slow. But I think this was the right decision in retiring the belt. I think it belongs with Taz. You know, they did a great job like executing it well and showcasing it on AEW, but it's not something that really is predominantly AEW. So it felt very fitting for Hook to finally be able to overcome this, win it back, and actually present it back to his dad. It kind of feels like that story is kind of like now tied up in a little bow. But yeah, this is like great for you know, Hook to like now start focusing on other things other than like, you know, the honor of his father's belt. So it's slow, but I'm hoping like with more experience that Hook gets, different opponents will enter the fray for him to be able to face off against. Because it's not that like this has been bad so far for him, but I don't think that the booking has been entirely great for Hook. So hopefully maybe you know, following this sort of story with who attacks Taz that we'll probably go into a bit further shortly, you know, like he'll start to really kind of like branch out on his own and start creating like a name for himself rather than underneath the Taz brand, you know?
Yeah, and if we don't, it was Nick Wayne, wasn't it? Or the part of Christian. So again,
I mean, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, you could easily argue, like at some point, like Nick putting Nick Wayne and Hook together as a tag team because they would be actually a really great tag team together. But whether or not they would be heels or faces, I don't know. But I mean, as the fact that they are very young, you know, it does go to think whether or not those two will actually like kind of do some great work together eventually. Whether or not it's against each other as opponents or whether or not as tag partners eventually, we'll see.
We'll see. And speaking of tag teams, Young Bucks beat Will Ospreay and Carl Fletcher. We then see MVP make his AEW debut, but we'll speak about that definitely in a little bit. We see Darby versus Mox as well, with Moxley securing a win with a Death Rider for the middle rope and then a shot at Danielson, who then showed up and attacked Moxley until everybody else got involved. A few other stars showed up and helped Danielson fed off Moxley's crew to end the show. I mean, if you like that sort of stuff, you loved it. And Gina, again, it's kind of what Darby Allin does, really, isn't it? Goes into a match and just gets his shit kicked out of him. And there we go, Moxley is number one contender.
Yeah, 100%. To be honest, I'm not surprised by it because, again, I think I've said this before on past pods. I swear Darby just has a death wish. And every time he goes into a match, he probably tells his opponent ahead of time, don't hold back, batter me below, I'll take it all. You know, like, it's just madness. But it's true Darby style, and I kind of don't expect any different from him. But again, it also adds to the theatrics of the match and just making it, you know, that much more of a brutality type ending for him. But yeah, I'm not surprised that Mox got the win.
No doubt. And then with Dynamite 5-year anniversary, it was 2.5 fucking hours. But we did get Ricochet versus Will Ospreay. And I know I don't want to do this, but Excalibur mentioned their first match was at Rev Pro back in 2013. I was in the crowd watching. All right, come on, guys. Anyway, there was no way to do this justice with a description. Takeshita came out and got involved, kind of spoiled everything. But again, Monty kind of showing what Ricochet and Ospreay can do and leaving it open down the road as well.
Yeah, I think 100%. This is just another one of those encounters, like you said, James. If you was there for that first one, when if you've seen any of the times they've ever fought in New Japan, this is kind of a lot of that same stuff with a little bit of a little bit of a different nuance because I think Osprey has evolved and kind of became more, definitely more of a power wrestler than he used to be. But uh, I think still at the same time, Ricochet showed a lot of his evolution also, and just being smarter. And I think it was a good match, man. It was really good. Good might not even really do it justice, like you mentioned. And then Takeshita, I actually didn't mind Takeshita foiling it because I'm not one of these people arguing about it on the internet, but I really didn't understand why we were doing this match. I understood it was the anniversary, and I understand that's kind of what AEW does. But giving away a one-on-one encounter between these two guys that we all know everybody would love to see, it just, to me, it seems just smarter to put that on pay-per-view. Maybe I'm indoctrinated by the way WWE has done things over the years. But to me, I don't know about just giving this away for anything. But since they added to Kessler, made and had him interfere and kind of gave it a different element to it, and the fact that it ended up being, I don't think it did. I don't think they did anything wrong either at all. I just thought that seeing it and then having it free on television, you kind of feel spoiled. But I believe that maybe that's the emotion they want to give me. I am interested in the people who may have never seen these two fight at all and how they felt about it because I think that was those are the people too that you kind of want to make gravitate to your product if you're AEW. Those people who may have never seen these two guys of this caliber do this. I think me, uh, I'm just jaded, so my mind immediately goes back to the best of the Super Junior days and just how many times I watched these guys do their thing. But these guys, again, they're just two of the best, and I think that's why Osprey was just camping so hard to get Ricochet out. He just fits right in. He fits like a glove. I think if anything, if you don't like Ricochet or whatever, I don't see how you can watch what he's been doing for AEW and tell me he doesn't fit their style and fit AEW like a glove. And I think this match is a great example of why. He can just go out there and you can plug him in. He can go out there and put on a banger at any time. He was like that in WWE, but it just fits better with the way they do television in AEW. And this is a great example of it.
Yeah, without a doubt. We see MVP giving Mercedes Moné a business card backstage. Adam Page beat Juice. Britt Baker beat Serena Deeb. Shelton Benjamin made his AEW debut in a backstage segment. In the main event, saw Danielson and Okada put the titles on the line, but the Continental belt was only up for grabs in the first 20 minutes. The bout began with only 5 minutes left of Dynamite. Like I said, it went 2.5 hours in the end, so that wasn't the problem. In the end, Danielson pinned Okada with backslide because the Rainmaker was distracted by Claudio in the crowd. Jaxie, I'll get your thoughts on this, because again, as Monty mentioned, you get given an Ospreay Ricochet match, and then Danielson and Okada, obviously we kind of know now a little bit more, but kind of just being put here. I know Okada lost, but he still looked great. But again, you just, maybe it's for a bigger occasion, but still good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I think that like with like sort of the future booking that we will eventually come to discuss, that there was clearly a reason why they placed this match like sort of on sort of a midweek card rather than a main event. But this like a pay-per-view sort of event. But this match should have been on like a pay-per-view event. Like Okada versus Danielson is just like something incredible to witness, And again, like you said, you pointed out correctly that even though Okada lost, he didn't look bad. Like this match just made them both look great, and they both worked so well together. It's kind of a shame to like think whether or not this would be the only time they maybe see each other in the ring, and I'd like to think that that's not going to be the case. But whatever it was, I'm glad that we still got this match.
Yeah, I think without a doubt. Yuta came down afterwards and saved Danielson, but we knew that wouldn't last. Elsewhere, Grizzled Young Vets jobbed to the front runners, so that's them done. Private Party won on Collision to face the Bucks. Darby hit Brody King with a rock. No, not that one. Britt was unable to compete, so Willow won a fun fatal four-way to face Mariah May. Jay White returned to action, and he wants Hangman. And we see Moné defended both the TBS and the Strong Women's title against Emi Sakura. We also Mariah May as well defended the title. And Gina, has the women's division cooled off a little bit, even with TV time on Dynamite and WrestleDream at the moment? You know, gone are the days of Tony Storm having segment after segment, and now it seems we're kind of struggling to see. Or is that me being fair or out of order?
No, I think you're quite fair there, to be honest. I do feel like the female storylines have kind of dwindled. If we do see any sort of like backstage stuff, is kind of just the standard, main Mercedes Moné and her sidekick. I can't remember her name. Is it Camille, something like that. Yeah. And again, it's like, even though we know they've got a plethora of females in the women's division, they don't really have any main storylines going on. Even though we've got, like, Jamie Hayter back now, and she's got like a storyline sort of going on with this back and forth at the moment, but she's still kind of only showcased for a few minutes on a Dynamite here or there, and then that's it. Until next week, sort of thing. Again, it's just the storylines seem a bit lackluster when it comes to the ladies that they've got. So yeah, I do feel like they could really boost them again and try and put some more time into creating storylines that are not necessarily revolved around belts.
Yeah, even the weird like Statlander and Stokely story, just they split for no reason. It was just like, yeah, Chris is a face now. Do you know what I mean? There was no kind of explanation.
Yeah, and like, Chris spent this whole time like, gunning for Willow being this heel with Stokely, and then all of a sudden she's like, I'm over it now. I'm going back to a face, and let's just forget me being a complete bitch to Willow for the past few weeks.
Yeah, hopefully they can fix it. We see Mansoor as well showing fire, which again surprised me because he ain't done that in a couple of years, I'll tell you that. And then Double J as well has been on commentary because obviously Taz has been off. He's all right. 0 Hour then, October 12th. It was still 90 minutes, so it's not a 0 hour, is it? But anyway, Renee and RJ and Double J, Chucky T joined the panel. Then Nyla Rose did as well. Well, I suppose he got to do something. The Ring of Honor TV title bout was the first match of the pre-show. Brian Cage versus Atlantis. Cage ended up winning to become the new Ring of Honor TV champion. Jaxie, start us off then. We'll go in order as we do. I mean, thoughts on this match and score out of 5.
Which match is this?
Brian Cage and Atlantis. And I don't mind if it's a quick.
Oh, God.
Right, I don't mind.
It was so long ago. And I know that it's because we've taken our time. But it was so long ago. It's really hard to remember that. I haven't seen much of Atlantis Jr., but like from commentary, they had talked about, that they faced each other before, and can Atlantis overcome, Brian Cage? So ultimately, the answer was no, he couldn't. But I kind of like, again, without even knowing much about him, I kind of just thought, well, if he's champion, give Brian Cage a championship or something, because he's kind of like just there each week on AEW, not doing much, and just put a belt on him. That's quite, yeah. So, yeah, that's what I felt.
Doesn't have to be gold, can be silver. Just give him a belt.
Or bronze. It doesn't really matter.
What would you score out of 5?
Oh God, I really don't remember this match, so I'm just gonna give it like a 2.5. All right.
Monty, what would you score it?
Yeah, if I remember right, it was solid. It was good for Brian Cage. He looked dominant for the first time. I ain't gonna say ever, but it's been a while since Brian Cage has looked strong. So I mean, I guess for that alone, it's a positive. But 3.5 is probably where I leave it, man. I thought him and Atlantis worked well.
Yeah. Gina?
Sorry, I was having problems with my unmute. I'm gonna be truthful here. I did not watch the match, so but I did watch like highlights of like the opening match. So I did watch highlights of it, but I just did not fully watch the match. I'm happy for Brian Cage to get the win here because he is usually used as a jobber. But let's face it, like he's not exactly going to be put into like the main title picture anytime soon. So for me, I think it's 3 is fair.
3 for you. Next match, Harley Cameron and Anna Jay clashed. Jay picked up the win, but it looked like the ref had to help push Cameron's shoulder down. It's not something that maybe we should have seen. Monty, what are your thoughts on this and score?
Yeah, I think Anna Jay has definitely improved since her stardom, her time in stardom, and not even in just in this match. You can just see it overall in her presentation, and she just seems more confident. But Harley is, still getting better in the ring. I think people like her mostly at this point because of her promo skills and character, and she has a great look. So I believe Harley, the only thing she needs to work on that I think we all know at this point is just getting experience and actually wrestling. And I think that kind of that folly that you mentioned with the ref and all that, that's a little bit part of it, I believe. Obviously, like you said, the production should help out. We shouldn't be able to see it. But she has a ways to go. I think we know that. And Anna Jay is as much as I think she's improved. I don't know if she's improved enough to be carrying or like leading the way for Harley Cameron, who is still in the beginning stages of her in-ring career. So yeah, man, I thought this was what it was. I didn't have terribly high expectations, but I know they're trying to build Anna Jay up post stardom. So I give it 3 stars.
3, Gina.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I can't really say much else from what Monty just said. I agree completely with him. So I'm going to agree, and I'm also going to go with a 3.
3. And Jaxie?
Same and same.
So a 3 there. Yeah, I'm going to give it a 3 as well. Up next, Rico joined Mason Madden and Mansoor as a surprise guest to take on Max Caster and Anthony Bowens, who are accompanied by Billy Gunn. Gunn references history of Rico before the bout started. This played out as a regular match with a lot of comedy moments tossed in. Some worked, some didn't. Gunn took out Rico to set up the Acclaim to get the win with the mic drop. Gina, what are your thoughts on this? I wonder what drug den they found Rico in as well.
I mean, I found it hilarious to see his return. And to be honest, he doesn't actually look that different. He really doesn't. He looked very similar to, what he looked like in WWE when he was with Billy and Chuck. So it was nice to see, that kind of like reunion, if that's what you want to call it, even though they weren't on the same team. But I still thought it was nice to see for those of us who know of the partnership that they had in WWE. But yeah, no, the match for me was okay. I'm not gonna lie. I feel like I've got a certain little soft spot for MXM. They just entertain me every time I see them. And even though I kind of know the Acclaimed is going to be getting the win here, I couldn't help but just cheer them on during this match. I just really like both of them in the team. So yeah, I feel a little bit biased, but either way, I thought it was a fun match to watch, and I enjoyed seeing Rico come back. So for those reasons, I am actually going to give it 3 3/4.
3 3/4, yeah. Oh, don't forget Rico beat Ric Flair. Let's not forget that.
That's true. That's true.
It
That's
has happened.
An achievement in itself.
Yeah. This was fine, but we've mentioned a problem with the Acclaim before, haven't we, Jaxie? So again, it's just like, yeah, this was fun, but as Gina was mentioning, we're actually getting, me as well, like with Eminem, I'm getting a bigger pop with them than I am with like the Acclaimed shit.
Yeah. I mean, I was going to say, I have to agree with some of what my sister has said about the, sort of unexpectedly, feeling like I was cheering on MXN. I just think that they're such a lovable duo at the moment. And it's not to say that the Acclaimed aren't, but right now, again, I think we've talked about this issue before. There seems to be a disconnect. And I don't know whether or not there needs to be sort of a character change up or just some sort of difference at the moment. But it's just, I just found myself rooting more towards MXM than I was the Acclaimed. also I kind of just felt like, yeah, the nostalgia was there with having Rico there, and to be honest, it made sense. Like Rico's personality with MXM works, but I just also was kind of like, it didn't make the match feel any more bigger. Do you know what I mean? So like there wasn't as it's not that there was disappointment from me because it was actually like nostalgia to see Rico, but I also didn't feel like it added anything to the match itself to make it feel like even more important. And so like I felt like this could have been like a really good moment to like just actually give MXM the win and actually like, maybe like get some sort of momentum going for them. But but
No,
we all can't wish for the best. But yeah, again, I think this match was good for what it was. I think a 3 1/4 seems pretty fair.
Yeah, no, I think you're right, and again, Monty, it's weird in wrestling. I mean, how improved Mansoor is as well. Like again, it's weird to think like all the opportunities maybe he had early in his career. Now he's finally putting it all together as well. And again, like Jackson Gina said, they're the team that's kind of more exciting at this moment in time.
It's crazy because I believe like I know they're not doing really the same thing, but when they were kind of doing this similar thing in WWE, I just immediately, no one could ever take them seriously. So to see them in AEW and finding a way to still be entertaining, but like you mentioned, still be taken seriously or at least be so good and so entertaining that it works for their in the ring stuff too. I shout out to them for just being so dedicated to what they're doing and just being fun. Good, they're good guys, and I think all of that is kind of bleeding into the work they're doing too. And so yeah, man, it's just kind of crazy when you think about it. Where they come from and just where they look, what they look like now. The tag division at this moment in time of watching this show was in a very weird place, and still probably overall as it is. But I think they are a bright spot right now, and I think, like you said, seeing Rico and just even if most of the people a lot of the people watching this show may not even remember the Rico and Billy Gunn days. I still thought that was just a nice throwback, nice moment, good fun way to kick off the pre-show. And who knows, man? I mean, think about what they're doing in the tag division. I mean, I don't too much care for the Outrunners character, but a lot of people are into it, and a lot of people get a kick out of that. And the same thing can be said for MXM as far as like just having fun. Like you have your old school, you're gonna go out there FTR, we're gonna go wrestle. You know what the Bucks are doing, and we have all these other elements of a team. And even at the beginning with Max Caster and Bowens, it was about fun. And I think as long as they don't run it into the ground like they kind of did with Max Caster and Bowens, I think MXM and guys like the Outrunners can be shining lights in this tag division. It seems like they're just embracing fun, even though I will admit the tag division is nowhere where it used to be. But this was good, man. Fun stuff. 3.5 is probably where I leave it.
Yeah, 3.5 for me as well. Tony Khan looked like a prick. And in a very random 8-man match closed 0 hour when Orange Cassidy, Kyle O'Reilly teamed up with the Outrunners to take on the Premier Athletes and Dark Order. Of course, that was Mark Sterling, Josh Woods, Eva Uno, and Rocky Romero all got involved for the Babyfaces scored the victory. I mean, just fucking why? Jaxie, you got to deal with this shit again. Just, what's your score?
Wait, this is the opening.
Yeah, this is the 8-man tag that was put there for no reason.
Yeah, I barely remember this one, to be honest. Like all the stuff that like this was this last minute put together through social media because of like there was no build up for this, was there? Am I right?
I don't even think it was social media. You know what? I just think it was
Yeah.
Let's just put it shit out
It
there.
just was. Yeah, I think they were just like, like let's just see how many men we can get on a pay-per-view event, and like do it. But you were right, like Tony did look like an idiot. But yeah, I rarely remember this match. If I'm truly honest, I don't really have much to say on it.
Yeah, same old shit, innit? Monty,
Yeah.
what you score it?
3.25.
3.25. I think that's fair. Gina?
A 3 from me.
And predictions for the WNR Prediction League 2024. This is after Bad Blood, before WrestleDream. So the bonus league at the moment is Monty on 23, Gina on 15, I'm on 14, Jaxie on 9. I mean, the bonus league is done. Let's all admit it. We're in October. Oh, no, we're in November now. That is done. What is interesting is the WWE League with Monty and I on 5, Gina on 4, Jaxie on 2, and the AEW one, which we're doing right now. Gina's on 2, James, Jaxie, Monty, all on 3. We start off predictions all 4 for 4. As we head to the main show, which is Jay White versus Adam Page. And Switchblade slapped Hangman to get under his skin, and it worked perfectly. As the always angry Page became irate and beat White down mercifully. When Switchblade made a comeback, the crowd was popping for everything he did. White ended up getting the win by countering a buckshot into a Blade Runner. Hangman fumed as White celebrated. So to start the pay-per-view proper, Monty, what were your thoughts?
This match was really good. I think it was just it's a subtle. I don't know about subtle, but it was a great reminder, and it just made me want to go and slap Tony and just. I wanted to shake his hand, but also slap him because you knew who the hell you were signing when you got Jay White, and all of the tag stuff and joining up with making the club that he made, the gun club. Yeah, that was fine, and he made it work. But Jay White, this is the type of stuff he's capable of. He is, constantly when he's given the chance to show a lot of what he showed all the time in New Japan. And how he is in a one-on-one setting. This is definitely what you're going to get from him, the caliber of match you're going to get from him. This is great. Hell of a way to start it off. Hangman and Jay White have always had great chemistry. I don't know if he mentioned this before this match or after this match, but they have fought at least 4 to 5 times. Even when Jay White was on excursion back in the Ring of Honor days, for some reason he always had Adam Page's number. Maybe that kind of went into my decision making when I was trying to predict. But I will say though, this was just great, and also thought that coming into this match, Hangman, I didn't know how you could, after burning someone's house down and being as bad as he looked coming out of their last big show, I honestly just thought Hangman was going to run through Jay White, even though Jay White was returning. But they did a great job of telling a great story, and even the reversal, the finish, and how everything played out. It was just excellent stuff, man. I came away from this just excited because they set a standard, and I was like, okay, this might be a really good AEW show, because I thought if you're gonna start off with this type of match, the quality of the wrestling here, yeah, you got just setting yourself up for a big event. And so, yeah, man, this is really good. I gave it 4.25.
4.25. But you make a good point, and Gina, I think for me this was the issue with Page beat Swerve just to lose to Jay White in the opening of the next pay-per-view. For me, it didn't really make that much sense, even though, as Monty says, we know how good Jay White is.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I definitely agree with everything Monty said. And speaking from one who I was introduced to Jay White during his time at New Japan. And again, for me, when I started to watch that, Jay White was pretty much the top guy. He was the one on top, So it was quite a disappointing debut and start for Jay White in AEW. And I kind of forgot about how hyped I did feel about watching him when he did wrestle in New Japan, because obviously they've not really, in my eyes, showcased him that well. And don't get me wrong, I really enjoy the faction that he's created with the Guns. To be honest, I actually hated the Gun Boys before they were with Jay White. I find that I actually can tolerate them a lot more now that they're part of the Bullet Club. But again, for me, when I was watching this matchup, I was just reminded of how great Jay White actually is, and how he pretty much is a main character and should be treated that way, because it just took me back to those New Japan days. And I was like, yeah, this is more of what I want to see from Jay White. Not that I don't want to see him in tag team matchups with his boys and stuff, but I need him to be giving main character energy, not NPC. So, yeah, for me, this was a great match. I really enjoyed it. I was shocked because for some reason, like you just said, with the fresh momentum of beating Swerve in the last pay-per-view, I kind of decided to go with the Hangman for the win because he's still got this attitude problem, and I just feel like he's going to take it out on everyone. But no, I was completely shocked. I'm happy for Jay to get the win, but I'm annoyed I didn't go with him. I'll give it a 4.25 as well.
Give it 4.25. Well, the only one, and I can't believe I'm going to say this, but Jaxie, let's get into your mind then. Because the only one. I mean, what was your thinking behind it? Like, you know.
I mean, do you know what? It was partly what Monty has discussed and partly what Gina has discussed equally. But again, there was a certain love for Jay White that I have that I felt like, you know, I went into this match looking at it as who would actually suffer more from the loss. And I ultimately felt like Jay White would. And it is specifically for the reasons that Gina actually pointed out. You know, Jay hasn't actually managed to accomplish as much as such without, like, you know, kind of like showcasing like his establishment of the Gun Club and, you know, what he's done to build them. But you know what, they've gone from being an insufferable group to something that's like, you know, Jay is building like a lot of respect behind the name of and I felt like, you know, with his start to AEW, it really hasn't been the best. So ultimately, I felt like he would suffer the loss more. Whereas, like, especially the reasons why Monty pointed out about why he felt Hangman Page should win this match, I was like, this is why he should lose it, because his mind really isn't really with Jay at this point. Is still reeling from everything to do with Swerve. Like, he's still not gotten over all of that. Like, he's still got issues. Like, you know, and this is ultimately affecting like his wrestling caliber in the ring. Like, he can't think about anyone else but Swerve at this point. Or that was my mind frame going into predicting this match. So yeah, ultimately I went Jay, and I'm really happy with that because I do feel like he needed a win here, and like a decent win, you know.
Yeah, you just guessed then. That's what I'm hearing. Right, yeah, that's fine.
Frick.
What would you score it?
I mean, I loved this match, so I gave this one 4 3/4.
Yeah, I gave it a 4.25. And like I said, this might be the chance Switchblade needed, but he does work better as a heel, as we know. Predictions, like I said, all went Page except Jaxie. So Jaxie on 5, the rest are on 4. And the AEW Women's World Championship was on the line as Willow Nightingale challenged Mariah May. He started with some relatively simple but fast-paced exchanges. Much to May's surprise, Willow pulled out the pounce early in the match. I mean, this was fun. And the final sequence that ended with May hitting Storm Zero for the win. But, Gene, as we touched on again, the women's division maybe not what it was, but Willow and May showed what they can do when given the time.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I was worried that Willow might have to, like, I don't know, hold back a little bit on her power within the match. Not that I didn't think that Mariah May could take her, but just in terms of, you know, the difference in their classes and stuff, I felt like maybe Mariah's just about to get squashed. And maybe Willow will have to hold back. But to be honest, I forget about the experience that Mariah obviously has from Stardom, and she is like quite a vet. And I feel like Mariah showcased herself really well here in showing, you know, I can be a sly bitch and take this belt from Tony using sly tactics, but I can also win and defend my belt against, you know, those in different leagues to me. So yeah, for me, I thought this was a good match. It showcased Mariah well, and I am quite biased because I loved Mariah. So for me, I gave the match a 4.
Yeah, no, it was good stuff. It's a shame it was the only women's match on the card, and as we said as well, Jaxie, like, Willow will be champ sooner rather than late, but just not right now because Mariah May is just getting started, really.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you guys have kind of said it right. Like, not much like kind of happened in terms of like anything to create additional storyline, but it did what it needed to do to kind of like continuously put and solidify it, like, you know, Mariah as a current champion right now. You know, I felt like this was a great match. I think Mariah and Willow worked really well together, and I just think that, yeah, the only thing is that this was the only women's match on the card, and I felt that, you know, like, this was a long pay-per-view, and yet that was all we had for a women's match. Like, I was slightly disappointed by that. But it didn't take away from the match itself. It just actually felt like it was an isolated, like as its own self. So yeah, do better, Tony.
What would you score it?
I'll get. Do you know what? This was still a good match. I give it a 4.25.
Give it 4.25. Yeah. This is the thing, because we did NXT last week, and Monty, we are spoiled when it comes to the women's division there. So to see a card of only like one women's match, like what's wrong with that? But again, they did deliver. Like I said, when they got the chance, and Willow and May are great. Maybe the top. In AEW at this moment in time.
Yeah, man. Like you're 100% right. Shawn Michaels would definitely scoff at this card. He would find a way to get all 30 women in a backstage segment if he had to get the women of NXT on a card. So it's really weird when you're in this situation. But you guys kind of hit it on the head. This is really good stuff. I think both women showcased what they could do. I think the only thing that kind of hurts this match, like you guys have expressed, is just a lack of story. I think they're doing Mariah a disservice because they started her off with such a heavy, not story focused, but like she was such a brilliant seeming character with all the stuff with Toni Storm. And I'm not trying to say she doesn't seem as brilliant now. It's just you can obviously tell it's more of a let's go back. Now it feels like more of that formula that we're probably used to with everyone's title reign, which is, just insert a baby face here to give a good fight, but there's nothing else for anyone really to latch on to. But Willow is perfect in that spot. I love the fact that even though the baby face in this situation is the powerhouse, you still have enough viciousness from Mariah because of basically her character and who she is. Like she's a very pretty girl, but she is also we like you said, we saw that side of her that she can go twisted in a hurry, and I think that gives her an advantage, or it makes her be able to fit with almost any type of babyface in her current role. I think that's why she's a really good champion, a great versatile champion, and I think that's the same thing with Willow right now. Just think about what she just got done doing. Being in a very aggressive, hardcore type of match where she was the babyface in that situation with Chris Statlander and kind of getting in this. But I think the fact that I can recite to you more of a reason why she should still be trying to kill Chris than why he would need to be in conflict with Mariah. I think that's just kind of expressing what we're all saying about Tony's booking or the lack thereof when it comes to a storyline around the Women's World Championship right now. Hopefully we'll pick that up. I don't want us to just be placeholding things until Tony returns so they can promote their Australia show. But that's what it feels like, unfortunately, right now, because I just don't think that we're getting enough of a focus there from a storytelling standpoint. Right now, it just feels like we're just lining people up to placeholder us until we get a Tony return or something of that ilk. And I don't know, man. They're just so talented in that division. It's always tough when we get one match, man. You can find something for Jamie Hayter or someone to do,
Yeah, well, this is the thing. If you're watching AW pay-per-view and not the 0 hours, you don't know Jamie Hayter's returned. So, again, it just seems a bit weird.
Right.
That's something
good point.
he's come back. But, what would you score it anyway?
Oh, sorry. I gave it a 4.
I'm going to give it a 4.25. Predictions, we all went May. So, Jaxie's on 6. The rest on 5. That's difficult to say, I tell you. TNT title, Jack Perry versus Katsura Shibata. The wrestler quickly forced the scapegoat to take a breather and regroup at ringside. They had a nice little exchange that led to Perry taking another break. Perry was disrespectful young upstart who spat in the face of a respected veteran. However, the way Perry won by countering Shibata's submission into a pin was an interesting conclusion, to say the least. Daniel Garcia made the save for Shibata during a post-match attack, which was quickly followed by MGF's return. As MGF and their DG had a standoff, Perry hit Garcia with his title and walked away. MGF seized the opportunity to attack his rival, and then Adam's Cole return came as MGF was preparing to end Garcia. He chased MGF out of the ring and posed with an excited crowd. He helped Garcia up and they shook hands. Wow. I mean, Jaxie, you can't have too many returns. And I'm, but I'm glad I didn't forget about the match that
Evidently
happened.
not.
Yeah, do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, there was a match
evidently
there as
not.
well.
Yeah, there was. It was a good match. Like Shibata again, just effortless in the ring. Like just can work well. He's so versatile, and it works well with just anyone. And this also was another opportunity to just show how much of an asshole Jack Perry's become. Like his ego was just roaming all around the place. Seeing these sort of like these saves come out by Daniel Garcia and such. It was like a feel good moment that was probably needed at this point. That kind of like perk the crowd up a little bit, because they really kind of got behind things when they all came out together and stuff. So yeah, I mean, again, there was nothing wrong with this match. It did what it needed to do, and I thought that Jack Perry and Shibata worked well with each other.
Yeah, what would you score it?
I'll give this a 3.5. It was fun. It was good.
3.5. Monty, it must be weird to see Shibata. I mean, would the equivalent be like someone like Bryan Danielson wrestling in New Japan, middle of the card at this moment in time, maybe against Evil or someone like that? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely kind of. I get exactly what you mean. It's definitely kind of those vibes, but I think the only difference would be is, they both kind of have that similarity of the retirement thing, but I just that after what happened to Shibata and kind of getting so much dirt that I know now about the relationship between Shibata and New Japan and just how messy it kind of became. I don't really look at it. It's not that weird to me anymore because now I know he just wants to wrestle with no restrictions, and New Japan do not want to take the chance to ever let him in that situation again. And I think, to be honest, it's fair to both parties if you really think about it. Like, I don't think people understand like what happened in that match with Okada when he headbutted him, and people literally thought it, like, I'm not being hyperbole here. They thought he was gone. They thought it was over for him, and more than just his career. So I'm kind of on New Japan's side, but at the same time, I understand from his point of view of, I'm good. I'm good enough to train your talent. Well, I should be good enough to be allowed to just wrestle. And so his placement on the card doesn't shock me because of that. But yeah, it's always going to be weird to see him not in New Japan. I mean, again, he's one of those guys who is literally right. The Three Musketeers, his other Musketeer is Shinsuke Nakamura and Tanahashi. He should be right next to where Tanahashi is literally the president. And we all know what Shinsuke is, even though he's not in New Japan anymore. I guess they should be around the same amount of weird, but I guess it's just still kind of different because going to WWE and still working with like a partner of New Japan is kind of different. But hey, it is what it is. The match itself was not bad. I'm not a fan of the finish. I wasn't a fan of the finish when I think was it Shayna who lost before that way? Shayna lost one match that way. I think Rhea Ripley's been in this situation where it's like you have a submission hold, but you get caught with the pin. I understand they're trying to trying not to really do a disservice to Shibata, but you really are because you kind of look kind of dumb. And then the entire match kind of gets overshadowed with like you mentioned, the mountain of returns, and it's fine. I get why. Like, it was great to see Garcia back, especially with all the rumors about what he was possibly going to do. But then you lump in the Max, and then you do all of that, and Jack Perry is kind of an afterthought, or I guess he's still kind of involved, but it was just weird. I don't know, but AEW loves a good run in. If it's one thing we know, Tony loves to run a bunch of people in. So it was fine. I gave it 3 3/4 overall. Good match. Didn't really like how it finished, and I didn't really could not care that the entire situation kind of got overshadowed. But hey, it is what it is.
Yeah, I think that's the point, isn't it? And I mean, Gina, when we talk about it, it's like, this was meant to be like a moment for Jack Perry, but instead it's like, no, this is about Danny Garcia. Oh, no, wait, no, it's about MJF. No, it's about Adam Cole. And it's like, Tony, make your fucking mind up. This is a pay-per-view, not a Dynamite.
Yeah, exactly. Like we all love a good return. We all love storytelling and, setting seeds for the next few weeks in terms of other people's storylines. But when you actually kind of take away from like even the champion of the match, like it kind of like feels a bit meh. And I'm not gonna lie, like I completely understand what Monty was saying in terms of like Shibata and like what he wants to do. But it does feel like Shibata's like, the jobber guy at this point still as well, because he doesn't really get much wins unless it's like a feel good like collision show where he's tagging with Mark Briscoe and Orange Cassidy and all the fan favorites sort of thing. And in a way, I kind of want to say it might be something similar with Ishii. And don't get me wrong, I know that they're kind of helping to, put others forward. In my eyes, I would like to see them get more singles wins, to be honest. So it'd just be nice to have had been completely shocked and just see Shibata get the win here. But I'm not going to take away from the match. It was a great match, and I still think that Jack Perry needs to stay a heel, because I think it's working for his character rather than ever kind of making him a face again. So yeah, I'll give it a 4.
Give it a 4. I'm going to give it 3 3/4. Predictions: we went Perry. So Jaxie's on 7. The rest are on 6. The International Championship was contested in a triple threat match when Will Ospreay defended against Ricochet and Takeshita. As soon as the bell rang, Ospreay and Ricochet teamed up on the Alpha and sent him out of the ring. He returned a moment later to break up a fast-paced exchange. I mean, there was too many cool things happening to recap all of them. You simply need to see this bout to fully appreciate it. This had everything, plus maybe a little bit more, as Ospreay was preparing to take out Don Callis. Carl Fletcher attacked him with a screwdriver. What are the chances? The Alpha hit a running knee and got the pin, and your new international champion is Takeshita. Fletcher hit his former friend with a tiger driver to show he had fully turned, just in case the screwdriver wasn't enough. Monty, what were your thoughts?
First of all, the wrestling, the match, 5 stars. I can't really say anything else other than just like you mentioned, man. It's just so much cool stuff, so many moments. Just 3 of the best doing their thing. I'm a triple threat. I will be the first to say this. I don't know if this is a phrase, but it is what I'm going to use. I'm a triple threat war. If you give me a good triple threat match, I love them. I will watch them. Like I just, that's always been my favorite type of match. I always go back to Undertaker, The Rock, and Kurt Angle for way back in the day. I forgot what pay per view. That's one of my favorite triple threat matches. Yeah, Vengeance, one of my favorite triple threat matches ever. For The Rock's title, or at the time, I think it was Undertaker's belt at the beginning, or Kurt's belt at the beginning. The Rock won it. Either way it go, great match. Again, I just can't say enough about it. Again, I like you said, it's just like it's what I said earlier about how special Ospreay and Ricochet is together. But then you add the huge hunk of a man, an incredible wrestler in Takeshita in there for hard hitting and just to give you that physicality and just creativity with the Blue Thunder bomb. Oh my goodness, just again, so much stuff. I don't want to just get to leaking over the microphone here, talking about this match, but it's definitely deserved it because that's just the type of wrestlers these 3 are. And I got to give them props. As much as I did kind of think Don Callis' influence, I saw the Fletcher thing coming. I just didn't think he would do it here. And I didn't think he would cost him the belt because, it just kind of makes sense. Fletcher is coming into his own. He was always the guy in the Aussie Open that I knew was going to be a star, mostly because of his youth, but he also was just big, his talent. And then he went to AEW / Ring of Honor and just kind of got super jacked too. And I was like, yep, he's going to be the guy. Just give it time. But they kind of streamlined it a little bit quicker than I thought, and but I can't really be mad at it because I definitely understand why. But at the same time, I didn't really want Ospreay to lose this match that way. This is kind of what I get for playing it safe when it comes to prediction. James, we know that rule. Good thing about triple threat matches, oftentimes the champion is going to retain, and I stuck with that. And another thing, as much as I love Takeshita, let's just be honest, guys. Tony has made sure to not give Takeshita that moment for every single time. So I had kind of gave up on Tony ever looking at Takeshita, how I think we all look at it. But I'm very happy that I was wrong. Congratulations to Takeshita because I think we all know he deserves it, especially with his work in the ring, the look, all of that. He's the guy. I ain't mad at that at all. This is great, man. I can't really say much else other than, I could deduct points for interference, but I'm not a hater like that.
No, without a doubt. Like you said, titles don't normally change hands in Triple Threat. I'm just saying that because they're the rules, But this was a match I was looking forward to the most. And Gina, as Monty so eloquently put as well, like all three are great. But Takeshita, I mean, there was a moment in this that I think Takeshita kicked out, even though he wasn't being pinned. And I was just like, at the moment, I was just like, this guy is performing week in, week out. Let's just go all the way with him. Do you know what I mean? And the title win is the first step.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with everything that Monty said. I agree with you. This match for me was a 5-star match. I absolutely loved it. I went with Takeshita, but not because I had some sort of G-site sense that he was going to win. I went with him because I just really wanted him to win. I truly felt like he deserved the win here in my eyes, Don't get me wrong, I love the whole storyline with Carl Fletcher as well and things like that. But I do feel like it slightly took a little bit away from the win of Takeshita getting his first belt in AEW, But either way, I'm still glad they gave it to him. And I'm really happy that they did choose to let him get the win. The match was bloody awesome. It really is like one of another top contender for a match of the year. The three of them worked well together and it was just so damn entertaining. So yeah, if you haven't watched this, I would say out of the whole of the match card, make sure to go back and watch this match.
Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt. And Jaxie, as we spoke about, we've moaned with AEW before with certain things, but with this matchup, we've got a new young champion in Takeshita who looks great. And again, we knew the turn was coming, but Carl Fletcher now with the Will Ospreay, like we said, we're building up. So it's good. And again, we get a classic triple threat match as well. So not bad all round.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't really have much to add on that isn't what both Monty and my sister have already said. This match was so good. This was definitely 5-star. All three men worked so well together. I could actually watch, a match out of 7 between all three of them, and I still wouldn't know who would be like the better wrestler out of the three. They worked so well together. I do have to agree with what my sister just said at the end there. I do feel like everything with Carl Fletcher and Will Ospreay kind of took a little bit away from Takeshita's win here, but I also understand why it needed to happen because Carl Fletcher really was the reason why Takeshita ended up winning and Will ended up losing. So it was kind of like a catch-22 here because it kind of took away from the win, but it also didn't take too much away from it. I'm glad that Takeshita got the win here. I think he's overdue sort of a run with one of the belts. And I think that this was like the perfect way to do it. This match was really awesome. And like you said, there were so many stop and start moments that I can't really point out which moments really like overtook. Like every part of this match was so like it went from 0 to 100 so quickly the minute the bell rang. That is like if you guys really want to actually envision what we're talking about, just go and watch this match because of like it's really hard to actually tell you consecutively what happened without rewatching it over and over again to see what was happening. There was just so much happening, but in a good way. So yeah, 5-star from me. This was just an awesome match and a really great showcase of how you pit 3 men against each other and actually have it work.
Yeah, without a doubt. Yeah, like I said, 5s all round there. Predictions. Well, the boys went for Ospreay, the girls went to Takeshita. So I think Jaxie's on 8, Gina on 7, Monty James on 6. We get Swerve Strickland come out for a promo, but MVP and Shelton Benjamin weren't far behind. MVP made the same vague offer to join him. Swerve turned him down, almost turned into a fight, but we did not get the debut of Bobby Lashley. But Swerve hugging Prince Nana was a nice moment. And not because of predictions, but I think the next 4 matches for me, apart from maybe the tag, wasn't pay-per-view or dream worthy. But hey, I might be wrong. We got Hologram versus Beast Mortis in 2 out of 3 falls bout. Hologram won the first fall, but Greta press slam on the ramps slowed him down. Mortis won the second fall, so it came down to the third. Obviously, Hologram won after long, but entertaining battle. Gina, what were your thoughts of this? I mean, maybe it had a chance if it wasn't followed by the match we just had.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to really say much about this match because it wasn't like one that like I would say I would retain very well. It is definitely hard to follow what they just did. So it was a good, like, in my eyes for the audience, a good bathroom breaker match. Um, I am a bit annoyed because, like, for me, I feel like Beast Mortos has been like pushed a lot lately. So I just figured he was gonna get the win here, and he didn't even get one out of the two. He didn't even get one full,
He
and
got
so
one. He
I
got
was.
one. He got one. But yeah, like I said, it wasn't. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, at least, yeah, just the one.
I wouldn't
Either
like it.
way, I
You
was
in the toilet? Don't
disappointed.
worry.
Yeah, exactly. But no, either way, it was one of those matches where I was like, was this really needed? Like, you could have put another female match here, seeing as there's only one on this match card. So for me, like, if you had to get rid of a match to put another female match on here, maybe this could have been it. And I think it would have been a good place to put a female match as well after following, that triple threat. I think it would have been a good spot for another female match to have been. So in my eyes, I think I'm a little bitter because of that fact. So yeah, I mean, the guys put in a great performance, don't get me wrong, but I'm just not the biggest fans. So yeah, 3 for me.
Through from you there. No, it's fair. And again, I just think the reason this match was here, because, I mean, Jaxie, I don't know what you think, but this is Tony Khan showing us he can create a character. Hologram. This is his creation, and this is why it has to be on pay-per-view in a 30-match card, wasting 20 minutes of our time, Even though I don't mind Hologram on Collision in small doses.
I mean, so I'm gonna say that I agree with the fact that like there was a lot on this match card, and this felt like one that was just randomly placed on there. But I gotta tell you, I'm a little bit surprised. I kind of really enjoyed this match. I enjoyed it more than what I actually expected to to enjoy it. Um, I think that I think like it's exactly what you said. Like TK wanted to showcase, yeah, I'm building up this star that is hologram, but I also feel like both Mortos and hologram worked well together, and there were some high flying moments that actually looked really good. And it kind of like came across really strong because I don't actually, I think you're wrong, James. I think that it was like hologram got 2 wins and that's it. Like I don't think Mortos got a pin at all. So like again, if that's what he was doing, he did it well.
I'm sure that I was complaining to you, Jax, about that and saying he didn't even get one. I think I remember.
No. Yeah, he didn't even get one. That's why I'm saying like why I thought that this match looked well for hologram, because I was like, well, they're really like actually focusing on building up this character. That's what I took from this match, because he won 2-0 over Beast. And to be honest, I was shocked by that. I kind of thought Beast would come out of this on top maybe, but I took a chance and went with hologram, and it paid off. I think that this match was surprisingly good for not needing to be on this card. And again, even though I'm saying that, I still would have preferred to have had another female match on the card instead of this one. I think that this still would have done absolutely fine on a Dynamite. So that being said, I'm going to give it a 3.5 because I thought that the wrestling was really good, but I just felt like it was still unnecessary to be on WrestleDream. It didn't need to be. It could have been on a Dynamite. They could have put that on the anniversary Dynamite, and that would have actually like done really well on that card. Like I think it really would have showcased them both of them well as well. But that's just my opinion.
I don't want to start an argument with you two, but Mortis did get a pin. It was 2-1. All right, so I'm just saying, don't shoot the messenger.
Was it really?
It
Monty?
really was.
Monty, can you clarify, please? No, because I don't believe you, James. Monty. Did Mortis get a win or no? A pin? Did he get a pin?
Yes, he won the second fall.
Oh, okay. I must have missed that then. Maybe that was a tweet.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
No, but James, everyone knows that you talk shit, so we have to go to Monty for clarification. So deal with it.
Deal with it. Well, I'm of two minds. I watched the match twice. First night, couldn't care less about it. Then just was like, this is here. I understand. I love lucha wrestling, so I get it, but just couldn't care. Then I rewatched it and I was like, you know what? They killed it. I actually thought it was actually a really good match, and I came away with the point of view of if you don't like lucha wrestling, then you won't really like this. If you just don't like random, because a lot of time when you watch Triple Mania before, right, James? And it's just sometimes it's just random. You don't even know the story. If guys are trying to stab each other in the eye, like you don't have no clue what's going on, but you're watching it, So that's what this kind of felt like because I didn't really understand why necessarily we were doing it, other than this is a lucha showcase type of deal. But you're right, James. Putting it behind the match that we had was kind of weird pacing. And also, when you don't have another women's match, you could have, Mercedes or wherever we want to go. Like again, I'm a steady saying Jamie Hayter because I'm just like, I don't give a damn who she fights. Just put her out there. She's one of my favorite women that you have, and she's invisible most of the time. But
exactly.
eventually, hopefully they'll lean back that way. But yeah, like I said, I thought the wrestling good stuff. But if you want to find a reason, or if you're just trying to latch on to something, or you really needed to care about this match, I didn't think it did enough other than just give you like good match. So sometimes you just gotta cut your brain off and enjoy the wrestling. I think that's what AEW wants you to do, and it depends on what type of watcher are you. Like, I feel like it's so much good wrestling out here now, to where it's like Tony. Sometimes you have to give us something to latch on to, some stakes or something, because if we just want to watch a good match, you know how many good matches I can find that's on TV every week at this point. So that's probably the problem with the booking style of doing this. But as far as the two guys doing their thing, it's good. I just feel like a 2 out of 3 falls match with no stakes really. Like no one getting a AEW TNT title match or something for this. It's just that's kind of like my weirdness. I'm always gonna be like, we're doing a 2 out of 3 falls match. We're either blowing off a crazy rivalry or feud, or we need some stakes. So that was my beef with it. But I give it 4 stars. Good wrestling.
Yeah, I give it 3 3/4. Predictions: Gina and Monty went Mortis. James and Jackson went hologram. So it's Jackson on 9, James and Gina on 7, Monty on 6. We've got Darby Allin versus Brody King next. Didn't take long for them to take the fight out of the ring and use the steps. King put the steps on top of Allin and stood on them to add pressure. Allin was eventually able to win after 2 coffin drops, one which was on a set of steps. The long-term rival shook hands to a round of applause. Jaxie, well, Darby had to be on the card at some point. This is in Washington, kind of his home state. But I felt like I've seen this before. I don't know what you felt.
I mean, I felt like this was a good match. But again, I also felt like this was one of those matches that also didn't need to be on this card to make this match card much longer. Or this match could have easily been replaced with, like Monty said, a Jamie Hayter match of any kind and made more sense to be on the pay-per-view than this match. However, I enjoyed this match. I'm a little bit disappointed. I don't know about you guys. I absolutely fucking love Brody King. I'm kind of annoyed that he's like, and oh god, this might be really controversial for me to say, but why is the likes of the big, massive DC Brody King like losing to Darby Allin? I want him to be more over. Like maybe that's just maybe it's because I want Brody to be more over and more dominant. Or House of Black in general. I want them to be overall more dominant. How they first kind of felt when they first came to AEW, like an unstoppable sort of like force and duo. I think this was a great match between Darby and Brody. But again, like I just feel like Brody loses too much, and I don't understand why, because he's quite over with the crowd. But also just like, someone of his stature, like I just wish was dominating more. So maybe there's a disappointment there from that aspect. I thought the match was good, but I also just didn't really feel like it needed to be placed here. So I'm going to give it a 3 1/4 overall. I think if this was on like a Dynamite, this actually would have been a much higher. I would have rated it higher. I just felt like there was no need for this to be on the card, this match card. That's all.
Well, it's just like you said, Monty, as well, about the stakes in the hologram Mortis match. It's like there was no stakes for this either. It was just two guys who just wanted to fight, you know. And again, that's great on a Dynamite, but when it's pay-per-view, people pay money for something and they're going, oh, so that's it then. They shook hands and they're friends and we move on.
100%. And I think, like I mentioned, not only with stakes, I think what makes this worse for me, and I know you didn't really mention it earlier, James, but I was very, very not angry, but just aggravated with Darby in general. Not for anything he did himself, but mostly because I feel like if he's on this card and he's just why you just give me a replacement match when this man could have been in the final against Bryan Danielson. And I'm not saying I wanted that over Moxley. I just feel like he looked dumb. He put his title shot on the line, he lost, and then now he just move on and be like, you know what? I'm just gonna go back and let me fight Brody King again because why? You know what I mean?
Like, I actually forgot. I forgot he was the contender.
Right,
and lost it.
That Danielson match was supposed to be healed in his hometown against Danielson in Seattle. That was a big deal, and I just don't like how he just kind of moved on. I know he eventually got back in the mix with Moxley and kind of be one of those guys again, but he already looked dumb to me when he put his shot on the line and got suckered into it and lost to Moxley pretty easily. And then he goes on like, well, I guess to make him, like you asked why this match here, that's the only reason why it's here. The only reason why it's here is to recover a little bit from looking so stupid a few weeks ago and losing to Moxley like you did easily. So let's just get you a win. And you know what? Since to make it look even better, we'll give you a win over Big Brody, a guy who you have no business probably really beating, but you guys have great chemistry. So let's just do it. That's what it felt like to me. So that kind of took points away from this match too for me, even though I think they both did great. It's just the booking of Darby and to me was just nonsensical because I would have liked it more if he would have just not that he has to go away, but I just think you could have a more maybe he should realize in some way, shape, or form that he was duped into giving up his title shot the way he was, and maybe he'll be fighting somebody from the Blackpool Combat Club or something, some type of retribution for just how stupid he looked not too long ago before this. But this felt random. And he just needed to get some heat back, so let's throw Brody out there. That's how it felt to me. I don't know about you guys, but that's kind of how I took it. And, yeah, I gave it 3 3/4.
Yeah. No, again, I mean, we've spoken about Darby and got like you talk about his stupidity there. But Gina, I want to speak about something that Jaxie mentioned as well, talking about Brody King. Can you seriously tell me Brody is in a better place or advanced at all since his debut? You know, do we know anything more about him? Has he gone up? You know, is he high mid-card now, or is he just exactly the same stuff?
No, I mean, I think he's doing the exact same stuff. I agree with all of you guys here. In my eyes, I feel like Brody is quite popular. You can hear it with the crowd, how they love to see him when he comes out. I am a bit baffled as to how someone like Brody loses to Darby Allin. This is not me trying to say Darby Allin doesn't deserve the win or anything like that, but it's just I can't get my head around it. And again, like Monty just said, it's a very random match. Nothing was built up to this. If they literally felt like Darby has to be on the show, it would have made sense to pit him against somebody else. Not that I don't want to see Brody, because I do, but for me, they should be like, pushing Brody more in my eyes. He's just someone who has joined AEW, but has kind of just remained stagnant and as the big bodyguard side piece for a faction, and let's not forget, like at one point, his main role on AEW was just, at Julia's side because his other two teammates were out or something, so he was just, even bodyguard for her. And don't get me wrong, like I enjoyed all of that with Julia, but I don't know, like I just feel like Brody needs more. So yeah, for me, I was quite disappointed with this match and with the outcome of the match. I felt like there was no point to it because we didn't build up a story enough to kind of have like a sense of peace at the outcome of the match. Like it's not like Brody's been bullying Darby up until this point or something. So yeah, I'll give it a 3 1/4, but it just wasn't my favorite, and I feel like Brody needs more of a push.
Yeah, without a doubt. I'm going to give it 3.5. Predictions: Monty and Gina went Brody. Jackson and I went Derby. So Jackson's on 10. I'm on 8. Gina's on 7. Monty on 6. Up next, we had Private Party versus Young Bucks for the tag team titles. And Mark Quinn and Isaiah Cassidy had a special intro video. The Bucks goaded them into a fight before the match started. They battled on the stage when Quinn took out everyone with a dive off the tunnel. Once it started, Zale won with a springboard crossbody. Nick and Matt regained control and used their brand of double team offense. Both teams had several close calls before the match finally ended. The Bucks winning with a TK driver, and Zay was sobbing after the loss. Monty, I mean, I know things have changed since then, and this is why I'm really fucking annoyed. But at this moment in time, it looked like the Bucks have no challenges at this moment.
Yeah, man. At the time, man, I mean, like you're 100% right. I mean, I honestly felt like watching the match, and if you just felt the intensity of the crowd, because let me go back and say about the wrestling, the Bucks. If it's one team that I know fit really well with the Bucks, it is Private Party. Like from not only from the early days of AEW that they have good chemistry, and I know the Bucks is like a team that kind of helped put Private Party on the map because they beat them early in AEW, but also way back before AEW existed. My very first time even getting to know who Private Party was because the Bucks went to an indie promotion in the northeast of America over there, where they in the New York area, I believe, where Private Party used to kind of do a lot of their bookings. And my very first time ever seeing them was when they beat the Bucks then. So again, Private Party and the Bucks have a long history, and if it's one team I can trust that they're going to go out there and have a good match with the Young Bucks, besides, FTR maybe. Private Party, I know people may not believe that or because of the way they've been depicted over AEW's inception, of course, and injuries too. Private Party's always had great chemistry, and I think this match is a great example of that. The crowd really kind of felt like they wanted to switch, and I remember watching live. People online felt like this was a moment that they missed out on. They could have this felt like one of those WWE type of not pulling the trigger deals for at least an AEW version of that. Because again, like you mentioned, James, after they lost, it felt like who the hell would beat them because no one else was even close. And if you have a crowd behind a team like like Private Party after Moxley's twisted motivation, I guess is the way you can kind of say it was kind of like a twisted way of motivating Private Party by beating the hell out of them leading up to this. Again, I really thought they probably should have pulled the trigger here. It just would have been a great moment, would have been a great shock in the situation. But again, like you mentioned, James, at this time, the Bucks just felt like it was no one even close. They felt untouchable, and they had beaten everyone that was currently even remotely in their realm as a team. And this is just another one of those victories. But it was a really good match. I love the emotion from Zay. Private Party has always been one of my favorite. Besides the Mark Quinn injury time, once he returned, I really wanted them to get focused on pushing them to where they are now, at least in the conversation. And this was one of those moments where I felt like they could have went on ahead and won it then. But great stuff though from both teams. Again, like I said, they have great chemistry. I liked it. I gave it 4.25. I just felt like they should have went on ahead and did it then.
Yeah, I mean, that's what really fucked me off, And again, not to say we don't need moments on Dynamite, but it felt the next two matches on pay-per-view became redundant within a couple of weeks because, again, it was just like, what is the point? And especially like the Bucks dressing them down and then beating them in a match, it's a bit shocking. But as we say,
yeah, exactly.
5 years after Private Party's big win and kind of nothing like we were talking about with Brody King. But Gina, we will talk about what happened on the Dynamite afterwards as well. Of course, Private Party getting the job done. But was that, I mean, obviously it's the right choice, Private Party winning the titles, but wouldn't it have been much better at the pay-per-view?
Yeah, so I do agree with that. There was a part of me there is still a part of me that is kind of questioning, okay, why didn't you do this at the pay-per-view? Because it's obviously a bit of a bigger platform, and like Private Party are, sort of veteran group to have joined AEW. So for me, I kind of thought that they would have preferred to have awarded them their first bout at the tag team belts on an actual pay-per-view rather than just a standard Dynamite show. But, as long as they got the job done, and I think that was the best choice, because I personally did not want Private Party to split up. It's still a bit of a shock just to see it happen on a normal house show, like weekly show, rather than pay-per-view.
What would you score the match that actually happened at the pay-per-view?
4.
4, yeah. Again, I don't think it was a bad match, and Jackson, as we've talked about as well, was kind of the fallout from this, Private Party getting their moment. But again, people are paying for kind of pay-per-view stuff. But it's great for Private Party, and hopefully we can go somewhere else rather than the Bucks returning in a couple of months just to get the titles back,
Yeah, I mean, I think you guys have pointed out all of the sort of like the obvious thoughts from this match. But I think the one thing to say is, like, going into this match itself, if we're taking ourselves back to just before WrestleDream, it felt like there was not enough build-up, not enough story to this match in order for the Private Party to really like solidify and take that win. But I also agree that, like, with where they took the story after, that match should have been here. So what needed to have happened is everything needed to have happened beforehand. Them having to lost beforehand to then stake that their union as a team on the line at WrestleDream, and I think that would have made more sense then to feel like that's why you're on this card. Like, it would have felt more deserved as to be like, this is why this match is on here, because it's not their careers, but their careers together on the line. That would have felt a lot more impactful than what we did get. And again, as you've already pointed out, like there's an obvious reason as to the loss that gets taken here in order to build up the stakes for when they did eventually have now taken the belts. But it just, at this point in time, it really did kind of just feel like, why is this happening?
Yeah.
And like Monty said, like that, going into this match, you really didn't actually feel like you had much luck or faith in the Private Party, because it honestly felt or feels like Young Bucks don't have any strong competition at the moment. But yeah, I just feel like it was at the wrong time and at the wrong moment for this match to warrant to be on this card. It's again another match that easily could have been replaced by another women's match, or just not placed on here because of it was, again, a very long match card. So this really just also didn't need to be here. Yeah, 3.25 from me.
3.25. Yeah, like you said, I mean, we're 11 matches in at the moment, so we didn't need this. And the reason I'm annoyed is obviously predictions. I mean, I gave us a 4 out of 5, but predictions all went Bucks apart from me. So I did see, if anything, I've got the G site, because I knew it was going to happen. It's just not the right week. So again, technically, some more
but
victory.
We had the G site. No, we had the G site because we all knew that this was coming, but not on this show. It was only you that thought it was going to be on this show, so you didn't have the G site, Jamie. Don't try and claim it. That's very
Jaxie on 11, James and Gina on 8, Monty on 7. Ring of Honor title, Mark Briscoe versus Chris Jericho. When Big Bill interfered, Orange Cassidy showed up and drove him off with a few orange punches. Brian Keith showed up and attacked Briscoe. Rocky Romero drove the bad apple away. Right before Briscoe put the Ocho for a table Bill had set up earlier. Jericho recovered and used a Dre Jiller. And Mark was incensed after getting hit with it, taking several punches. He unloaded his own Dre Jiller for the win. Gene, I'm going to get your thoughts, but I just want to tell you why I hate professional wrestling for, if that's all right. Firstly, that match that had no right to be here, right? Where are the Ring of Honor titles compared to the AEW belts? Exploiting the death of a wrestler, a so-called legend past his prime, and Jericho calling down another hot act. I mean, what are your thoughts? I mean, that's just what annoyed me about this match.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to lie. My respect for Chris Jericho has totally gone out the window, just from previous things that have kind of come to the surface. So I found myself each week that we see him on every show, because he literally is on every show. I'm just finding myself getting, force-fed Jericho at this point. That's how I feel. And I'm sure there are loads of fans who feel the same. There's lots of people who still really enjoy seeing him. You got them still singing his song and cheering for him. But for me, I've kind of had enough of seeing him. And, even, the whole him bringing up Mark Briscoe's past brother, I don't know. It never does sit right with me. I know that obviously they probably would have discussed this off screen, off camera, to check, are you okay if we do this? But obviously I know that wrestlers are like, yeah, it builds momentum into the story and stuff. But I personally just don't like it. Maybe because I am one of many siblings and I would never have anyone talk of my siblings in that manner. But I think even if I didn't have siblings, I just wouldn't like it. I just think it's a bit in poor taste to just raise and talk about those who are no longer here in such a manner. But yeah, I'm forced fed Jericho and I'm over it. So I would have preferred to just, be past this storyline of Mark Briscoe and Jericho, but that's not the case, because they liked AEW love to drag out stories for weeks on end when they don't need to. And that's what we're getting here, basically.
Yeah.
So for me, I'm not going to lie, it's nothing to do with Mark Briscoe. It's not even necessarily to do with the wrestling itself, but I'm kind of just over Chris Jericho. So for that reason, it's a 3.
Yeah. Well, if it makes you feel any better, I mean, Jaxie, Jericho won the Ring of Honor title, beating Mark Briscoe. For
Honestly,
no fucking reason. I mean, what's the point?
No, absolutely no fucking reason whatsoever, James. I was just about to just come in and just jump in and be like, this match on WrestleDream seems so redundant and so fucking useless. It really makes me mad, actually going back and talking about this match, because it's fucking shit and it didn't do anything, because of then a week or two later you're giving it to the Jericho. And yeah, I agree. I'm with my sis on this. I'm sick of being force-fed Jericho. I'm over him. Let him have some time off with everything that's kind of come out behind the scenes and stuff like that. Whether or not it's true or not, right now it feels like I'm being force-fed. And then you doing that a couple weeks after Mark picks up this win on WrestleDream really just makes this match feel so fucking redundant and just not needed again on this pay-per-view. It's like, why did I spend my time watching this? Why did I waste my time watching this match only for this idiot to get the belt a couple weeks later? Why, James? Why?
It's not my fault. It's not my
But you know what? I'm not gonna lie, because of the fact that we are reviewing this after everything that's happened, I am going to give this a bit lower of a score than I probably would have given it at the time of when it happened. But this is getting a 3 from me, because it just feels fucking useless. A waste of time being on the card.
Yeah, I agree with you. And Monty, again, we spoke about a lot of stuff, especially with Jericho. But again, I can't remember a period of AEW time where Jericho has not been featured on TV. Even with tours with Fozzy, stuff like that, I can't remember a 2 or 3 month period where he hasn't been on the Dynamite.
Yeah, where he just went away. Yeah. I agree. I think everything everybody said is correct. The only thing I will say is now that I know a little bit more, I do see what they're doing, even though I don't support it or want to see it. The reason why I think he won it is because they're trying to negotiate a TV deal for Ring of Honor, and apparently somebody told Tony, or maybe Jericho himself said it, that you remember how you got your AEW TV deal the first time? I was the champ, Give it to Jericho now.
Oh, is that the reason why?
People want to see, Jericho still.
But
Fuck
he said he'll
off.
take it to the next level. But it's like,
Right.
you were Ring of
fuck
Honor
off.
champion before, though. Don't you remember what happened?
Right. He even said it on the latest show that he's gonna show everybody why he's great for television and AEW basically. So just even in this promo, he's basically letting you guys know that they're negotiating a TV deal for Ring of Honor, and Jericho's, I guess, supposed to be the guy who's driving ratings. But I really believe he's overestimating the ratings that he got, because in 2020 or 19 Jericho is a lot different than 2024 Jericho. So I'm not saying they won't get a TV deal because of this, but I'm just saying whatever network it is, I don't know if I would put a lot of faith in thinking him as the face is going to be the viewers. I think you probably should go with Athena or something. Try to listen to her and let Athena be the focus. You don't need to pitch Jericho, but it is what it is. I think that's probably why they're doing this. But what you said, James, I think this is what I want to say about the Hughes and Jay stuff. Vince McMahon was known and got a lot of flack. The old man got a lot of flack, and deservedly so, for pulling tricks like this for heels that weren't quite over to get heat. So I just think, what does that say to you guys about Jericho at this point, to where he feels like, I'm not even going to say Tony gave him this idea, whoever's idea it is, what does it say that you guys need a guy who's getting a reaction, the people care, they're doing the high guys for the most part with them. So what does that say about you guys that you feel like you need to be so cheap to get heat for? Like, why do you need to go to that route for a guy like Jericho? I think that shows you the quality, because at least a lot of times when Vince did it, you could tell he was trying not to defend it, but a lot of times when they did it, they were trying to get somebody who wasn't necessarily over as a heel some heat. Like, it always made me think back to when Nikki Bella was very dramatic and was like, I wish Brie was never born. They were trying to do whatever they can, even though, like, think about what she's saying. Think about how stupid that is, but we're going to move for real. But that's my point. They were trying to get Nikki, who wasn't really a heel. They were trying to get her some very much needed heat at the time. Jericho is everything he thinks he is. He needs to go this route to get someone to possibly talk about his storyline. And I think that just says a lot about where he's at this point in his career. And that's kind of how I'll leave it in that point. I agree with you guys. Classless, stupid, unnecessary. But I think at this point, even he knows that the only way we can get somebody to care is if I'm controversial, because at this point, we just want him to go away.
Yeah. Like you said, the cheap tactics with that, and even with the wrong town name, is very basic. It's like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's desperation with that. What would you score the match, though?
Oh, this was fine. 3 3/4.
3 3/4. I'm going to give it 3.5. Predictions: we want Briscoe. So Jackson on 12, James and Gina on 9, Monty's on 8, and the main event, the AEW World Championship, Bryan Danielson versus Jon Moxley. Mox attacked Danielson as he was posing for his entrance. They brawled at ringside as the final countdown continued to play. Moxley was an aggressor, as we know. He did a great job looking like he genuinely wanted to end Danielson's in-ring career. Marina Shafir interfered several times whenever Moxley could distract a ref. She also removed some of the padding at ringside to expose the concrete floor. Even Nigel said he was split because Moxley was being so dislikable. We know that's an issue there. Mox asked Danielson not to make him do it for hitting a pile driver and locking him in a choke. Once the referee decided Danielson could no longer compete, Moxley was declared the winner and a new champion. A bit anticlimactic, I suppose, but hey, we all knew it was coming in a weird way, apart from me. Wheeler Yuta and Darby Allin saved Danielson from beatdown, but Yuta turned on Allin and took him out. What shock. Moxley handed Yuta a plastic bag, and he suffocated Danielson with it. Allin was duct taped to the ropes and forced to watch Claudio crush Danielson's neck in a chair. More people arrived, showing up to drive Moxley's crew away. Wow, Jaxie. A lot to take away there, but I tell you what, Wembley seems like a long time ago when we were singing the final countdown now.
I mean, like, well, shit. This was hard to watch at the end. I think, was it, where was it when they first did the plastic bag? It was at Wembley, wasn't it?
No, I don't think it was all out. Because all in
all
was
out.
great.
Okay.
fun.
Yeah, all in was
out
great.
went
That's
to
why he won
shit.
it.
Yeah, all
Yeah.
out.
Okay. So like even that was really hard to watch in itself. So to then have them bring out the bag again, like this actually was just really like difficult to watch. Like this went beyond wrestling. Like this was just sadistic, and like again, like there was a lot of shock. But like for me, I feel like we should have seen this coming with Wheeler Yuta eventually joining the fray. Like he is actually a member of the trios tag champions. I think everyone's forgetting that, and he's no way at any point, even when that first happened at All Out, stated that he was dropping that belt. So we all knew that there was going to be a turn coming for Wheeler at this point. But to bring the bag out again, oh my gosh, this was just like too much for me to handle. Like, thank God the roster came out and like kind of helped it out. But this match in general was just aggression from the get go. And we all know that like Mox is such a completely different character to Dean Ambrose in WWE. Like, this is a complete radical, extreme wrestler. And so we knew that this was just going to be like a hard watch right from the very get-go, considering they're two ex-friends as well and ex, club members together. But this was just a full beatdown. This wasn't even like, I don't know if you can really even call this a wrestling match. This was like a full-on beatdown, So it's hard because, I know that Danielson has expressed that like he's kind of like done full time in the ring now. I completely respect that. Would I have had him go out this way? No. That's it. That's all there is to it. It was just really shocking for me. I mean, like I want to actually give them the match like a very high like rating, but like I'm actually giving it a down rating a little bit because of the brutality that came out of this match. Actually took away from the wrestling for me, and I was just left in utter shock from the end of it that it just like it takes away from the wrestling a little bit. So that being said, I'm gonna give this a 4.5 because it was hard to watch towards the end, like I really wanted to kind of look away, just listen to commentary and not like watch any more of it.
Yeah. I completely agree.
It just felt like a team up. It felt like a team up, like it didn't feel like a wrestling match. It felt like a fucking annihilation of someone. So like, I kind of like it towards the end of it, I really stopped enjoying the match, like for being a wrestling match, because it was just hard to watch.
Like I said, we'll break it down a little bit. And like I said, the emotion of Brian when he came out or making his entrance kind of gave away a little bit. And it was good whilst it lasted. Let's not get me wrong. But Monty, just for a second, this is not the end of Brian's wrestling career. It's the end of his full-time career. And hopefully, well, saying that, we know he needs surgery. Hopefully he makes recovery so he can wrestle a few more times. So we've got to say thank you, Brian. And again, we'd be remiss not to mention, Monty, how important Bryan Danielson has been for professional wrestling this past 20 years or so.
Yeah, man, he's one of those guys, one of the few guys that I think he has the argument to be one of the best wrestlers of all time. He's one of the few modern guys. I know a lot of people will say that about guys, but to me, it's really only like, the Cena's, Tanahashi's. There's only a few guys, in my opinion, that really can make a case for the in-ring work, for the character work, for just what they were able to do. And I think what he was able to do from an independent standpoint, from a time in Japan, from WWE getting over multiple times, multiple ways, coming back from retirement, doing it, and then what he did in AEW is like unquestionably some of the best work that I've ever seen. And also what he's doing backstage and what he's doing to kind of help stabilize for what Tony and the crew have been doing backstage. I'm sure he had a lot of input into his exit, but I do think that after he beat Swerve, this is one of those things that even though I predicted Mox would win, I was kind of one of those guys who the only thing that was keeping me on the side of Danielson was because I was kind of resistant, because I felt like this could have been a great moment for not to say Darby, but like Darby's a good example of a guy. It would have been a great moment for any of these future guys that we know who should be on top of the company going forward. Moxley's all reliable in that role, and I do think what he's doing right now, I'm not mad at it because what he's doing right now, and the reason why I went for him is some of the most compelling, but also just really, really cool stuff that he's been allowed to do in a while. And that's saying a lot when we're talking about a multiple-time world champion and we're talking about somebody who literally just New Japan's champ. But so I really love what they're doing, even if some of it is crossing lines and being kind of like you can definitely make the case. Is the physicality needed? But I think when you just think about how many people are running afraid of Moxley, and then you got the some of the talent trying to stand up to him or whatever. I do love the thought process and a lot of the focus of storytelling. I think that's part, not to maybe a little bit of a disservice in some other areas. It seems like when AEW has a storyline they want to focus on, kind of like with Swerve and Hangman, or even with Mariah, you can make a case with Mariah and Tony. When they have a main storyline that they feel like is really compelling stuff, they put a lot of effort and a lot of focus into doing that. And I think Moxley has been the beneficiary area of that. And same thing with Marina Shafir. I mean, for a while, we all know, if you know anything about Marina Shafir's background and how dangerous she legitimately is, I think her just being next to Mox and what they've been doing with Claudio. I mean, same thing with Claudio. He towers over everybody, and even with Wheeler kind of following along. And then, of course, Pac just being, no matter what's going on, Pac is in full gear, ready to fight, being a complete bastard. I do love that no matter where they are, they could be getting in the back of that truck that Moxley keeps riding in the back of, and it doesn't matter. Pac is not changing clothes. He's not in the sweatsuit. He's in full gear, ready to fight. But that's not what we're talking about here. But a point I'm making is that I love what they're doing, so I got why Moxley is on top. But I was definitely resistant at first, James, because I'm glad you reminded me that this is not going to be his last match ever. But it definitely still felt like this is it, at least for from what we're become used to from Danielson. He's definitely done a lot, and I can't wait to see what he does decide to come back for, because I do think you can overweight, or you can. It's always tricky, you want to pick the right matches to return for, the right situations. So I can't wait to see how Danielson decides to do what he has to do. But we know Cena's coming up, and now having Danielson out of the way, and then even Tanahashi, we'll talk about that, I'm sure, on another podcast, have announced that his future in the ring is coming to an end. It's just, as somebody who kind of grew up watching all these guys, it's kind of crazy to think that we're entering an era where they won't be doing this much anymore. So,
welcome to the club.
Very weird, man. Yeah, very weird. Very weird.
Without a doubt, like I said, some excellent points there. And again, it's weird with Moxley. I mean, compare him to obviously Rollins and Reigns, because of the Shield collective. And you think this year, Seth and Roman, apart from WrestleMania, of course, haven't been that successful. And like I said, Moxley racking them up. Like I said, the IWGP heavyweight champion, AEW champion again for the fourth time now. But it did feel a bit like the streak, like we talk about. When the streak came to an end and when Danielson's career, full-time career come to it, you're going, oh, okay, yeah, Moxley is a guy at that level. But like you said, would it help?
That's a great point.
Somebody
younger.
I
always argue that Brock probably didn't need that. Somebody else could have did it. And the same thing can definitely be said for Brock.
Yeah. Gina, I will ask you this question. Wheeler Yuta had less joy turning on his mentor than Kyle Fletcher did, didn't he? But again, both kind of did the same thing, It's like miserable Yuta, but he still went with it.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose there's one of two ways that you can turn yourself heel. You can turn yourself heel willingly or reluctantly, and we saw kind of both versions, once with Kyle Fletcher, who willingly did it to promote himself, and Wheeler Yuta, who kind of looked like he was being forced into it, even though he wasn't being held at gunpoint, I think for Wheeler, he was like, what do I do? They're my, co-tag belt partners. I should be on their side, but you're my mentor and I love you, and in a crowd heel face perspective, you're like, no, Wheeler, we expect you to be better than that. Chuck your belt, dash it at them, and say, do you know what? That's on you guys. I'm sticking with Bryan Danielson. That's like, the ideal outcome, what us fans would have wanted. So
I'm hoping that you do that with a podcast. Like you get the plastic bag, stick it over my head, and that's how I go out.
That's how I take over, that's how I take over things. But yeah, no, in a way, it's kind of like, Wheeler, in a way, was possibly also seeking to get a bit of sympathy, to be tortured into showing how tortured he is in turning heel against Bryan Danielson. Regardless, either way, it broke all of our hearts because we were all rooting for you, Wheeler. We were all rooting for you, So, yeah, it's devastating. I'm not surprised, though. I'm also not surprised at the brutality of the match because, again, this is Mox. And every time we see Mox, he's even more violent than last time. So I would love it, absolutely love it, if someone could just come out of the woodworks and just slap Marina Shafir. I don't know why. I just need to see this bitch get slapped. So I would love for someone to pop up and do that anytime soon. That would be great. Thank you. But for me, yeah, the match was good. But again, like my sister
we actually
said,
get some opponent from Marina? I need someone to actually smack her up in the face.
I think you should
at
do
some
it, Jaxie.
point.
I think you should go.
I mean, I'm all for it, but I'm not gonna lie, guys. As much as I talk the talk, I think I get. No, as much as I talk the talk, I think I would get the living shit kicked out of me with Marina. So if we can stick to a female wrestler and not myself challenging Marina, can we actually just get someone to smack a bitch up?
I feel like it's like, Chris Statlander, or even, I can't remember her name, I've forgotten again, the one that's with Mercedes. Like, what
You've really got a blind spot there.
Right.
But yeah, like, I mean, someone, please.
Yeah.
But someone.
Marina Shafir is legit, but like, Shayna Baszler was actually a better fighter. So it's kind of crazy.
I know. I mean, I'd even argue.
Never depicted like this, but Marina is killing me.
I'd even try and argue like someone like, I'll get Queen Aminata in to smack her up, but they haven't even showcased her well enough for me to actually think she would be formidable against Marina. But like, bring someone in now.
You wouldn't get the one that's not Ronda, Baszler, or Shafir. The fourth one. Well, what's she doing? Can we get her in?
Oh Lord, yeah. What the hell happened to
do? Oh, imagine
that
one. I was actually about to say, imagine if she joins and then came to smack her up. But I don't see that happening. If Jessamine Duke joined, she's joining up with Marina. She's got too much of a heel type face to come in as a baby face. So she'll come in straight up.
Someone big come and slap them.
Yeah. She come back and smack them up real quick. Yeah.
Heel type face.
Yeah. But yeah. To finish off, like, rating it, like my sister said, it got more and more uncomfortable as the match went on. I will give it a 4, but it was just very hard to watch. I think all of us as fans really hold a lot of hope and respect for Bryan Danielson, and we all know how his health has been throughout his whole career. So just seeing more and more damage be done to him is very uncomfortable to watch.
Yeah. Monty, I didn't get your score. What would you give it?
4 1/4.
4 1/4. We should say JR was on commentary for the last 2 matches, but all he did was mix up Mark and Jay Briscoe. But to be fair to him, he was mixing up Matt and Jeff Hardy 25 years ago, right? Predictions all went Mox, apart from me, because why would I? So final scores, James and Monty on 9, Gina on 10, and Jaxie on 13 with a perfect score. I cannot believe it, Jaxie. Congratulations.
Oh my gosh. Seriously, I don't know how I did it.
No.
Probably pure luck. But I mean, I'm really happy with this win and this outcome being sort of on WWE with how absolutely fucking terrible I'm doing at particularly the WWE right now. So, this for me feels like, kind of welcoming, considering I'm absolutely failing at WWE. But I just also don't know how I got there with a perfect score. I'm not going to complain now. This is my first and only like perfect score win, so I'll fucking take it.
No, fair play. And again, no offense to you, but usually when I check predictions, I go with like Monty and Gina first. I was working. I might have won this, and then I was like, "Hang on a minute, this motherfucker's got 13." Like, how was that possible?
I mean, if I'm truly honest, I was watching this pay-per-view with Gina, and she was the one who pointed out, I don't think you've lost one yet, sis. And it was only then when she pointed that out that I was like, shit, do I have a chance at clearing this? And I did. I'm gonna take it. I'm taking that win. It was probably a fluke. I want to say this will carry on with AEW, but we all know fat chance of that happening. So I'm just going to take this win as it is.
Well, because it's a 30-match card, you will get 2 bonus points as well. So, well done to the bonus league. Monty's still on 23, Gina on 15, I'm on 14, Jaxie now on 11. Of course, we talked about the WWE, but the AEW one at this moment in time, like we said, Gina on 2, James, Jaxie, and Monty on 3. So, all heel champions as well in AEW, weirdly enough, which, again, is not something you see every day, but I'm sure there's a plan for it. So, we'll do rating, a match. Well, I think the match for everybody is a triple threat. I think that's pretty fair. So, we'll do rating and MVP, and we'll start with you, Monty.
Although I think it was some really good matches, you can definitely make a case for a stronger rating than what I'm probably going to give it. I still give it about 8.5. It was very lengthy. I think we talked about it about a quarter of the show. Probably still could do without, even though I thought everybody worked hard. And I think that's kind of how Tony always kind of screws with me. He knows his wrestlers are good enough to make it work, even if it's not ideal or ideal watching experience for a chunk of the matches. But you know, you have one of the all-time great matches on this card, so I definitely recommend it. And it's hard for me not to say that again. He finally pulled the trigger on somebody that we all know is a home run. The only person who didn't seem to understand it was Tony, and now it seems like he did. And so I just don't see how anybody else gets it other than Takeshita. With a brief little shout out to the ladies because their match was the best other match in my opinion on the entire card. But other than that. Yeah, man, I give it to Takeshita for not only being the X factor in the triple threat, but coming away as the champion too. It was a great moment. He was my MVP. Best match, obviously, is that one.
Yeah. What would you score out of 10, B? Sorry.
8.5.
8.5. No, I was just realising I've got the predictions wrong. The prediction league wrong. Just working out. Jackson, you take the lead now with AEW. I wouldn't do you like that. So you're on 4 points. Me and Monty.
Shut the front door. Hell yeah.
Yeah, no, I realised as I was looking at it then in panic, you are guaranteed an AEW win. Oh, no, you're not because we've still got 2 shows.
Okay.
No, you're not. We've still got 2 shows.
Fuck off, James.
No. I thought you did. I know. I'm giving but taking away.
Do you know what? Watch. I'm gonna smash these next 2. Watch. I'll be out on
Gina,
top. No worries.
Gina, what was your MVP and score out of 10?
I have to agree. My MVP is Takeshita all the way. And score out of 10, I think 8.25 is fine.
8.25. And Jaxie?
People are going to hate me, but I'm going to go with my MVP as Jay White. I think he really needed this win. He looked really good coming out of that match. And I just thought it was an overall great match, and I wanted to kind of give it to him, considering like match of the night is definitely the triple threat with Takeshita. I'm going to give it an 8.5 overall. I thought it was really good, but I felt like it was still too long, and it really didn't need to be. So.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say. Like I said, it's just too long, isn't it? You know, like, come on, Tony, we enjoy wrestling, but when you've got like an hour and a half, 0 hours, well, it's 5.5 hours of stuff, it's just not fucking worth it. But like I said, Takeshi is the MVP, the match is a triple threat, and I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. So we just got a couple of notes after. And again, I mean, Gina, I don't know about you, but Shelton Benjamin hasn't aged a day. You know, I don't know if he's got a painting in his attic of him or whatever, how he does it, but he looks phenomenal, and he's on AEW now and picking up victories like he should be.
Yeah, no, he literally looks the same as he did, 15, 20 years ago. Seriously, he looks awesome. And picking up the victories, I'd expect no less. I don't want Shelton Benjamin coming in and being given kind of, mid-card action straight away. I want him to be put on the top. He deserves it. He deserved to be pushed more in the other promotions that he's been on, and I think he's still got more to give us. So I'm really excited to see him here in AEW.
Yeah, fuck Sammy Guevara. Jaxie, good news, bad news. Jay White lost to Christian, but Okada beat Kyle O'Reilly in quite a fun match. Yeah. Even though we are forgetting about Okada.
Yeah.
Just put a singles match on pay-per-view, fuck's sake.
I mean, yeah, for sure, definitely. First things first, let me just say that loss from Jay White is definitely confirming, they are definitely going sort of all out with getting Hangman into this recurring situation of being obsessed with one specific wrestler, and if he takes an L, he's just continuously going after him until he re-picks up that W, because this is exactly the same behavior we've seen that he showed towards Swerve and what he's doing with Jay now, and I feel like this is a very unhealthy sort of how we got unhealthy alcoholic Hangman Page, we are now getting batshit crazy off the rails Hangman Page, and he is just going to continuously have an obsession. And until he's beat that obsession, he's going to keep going after him. So watch, this isn't over between Jay and Hangman. And I don't actually mind seeing a round 2 between them, but hopefully, someone's going to come in. You know what? I at this point, when I saw that happen with Jay, losing to Christian, and thanks to it being Hangman, I really at that moment felt like, oh my gosh, I need Kenny Omega to come back right now and slap Hangman Page so badly and be like, what is my ex-tag team partner doing? So it got me thinking about Kenny as well, and whenever we're going to get his return, which will surely be exciting, but I hope he's recovering very well, and I hope to see him in the near future too. But yeah, we're getting a batshit Hangman right now, and I think everyone needs to be on the lookout, because I think that he could make anyone his obsession, and that will be it.
Yeah, my hope is that his moustache gets bushier and bushier the more heelish he gets, and it turns into like Dr. Robotnik. Do you know what I mean? Just a huge.
Oh my god, give it to me! Do you know what? Give it to me. I actually am not even mad at him. Yeah. Do you know what? If you mess his hair up a little bit more and cut it a tiny bit, you'd make him look like Marv from the Wet Bandits of Home Alone. So go on, do it.
Anyway, Anna Jay beat Mariah May, and then AEW Fright Night, Adam Cole beat Buddy in quite a good matchup, even though the ankle wasn't hurt when he hit the Panama Sunrise. But hey, who's worried about that? Mark Davis returned. Monty, is this important? Because obviously we know, and the line was great, was, Fletch saying he's got a family, but he used to have an empire. Yeah, are we just going to see Mark Davis? What's going to happen here? Come on, help us out.
That's still up in the air, because last time I checked, Mark Davis was still healing from a very bad neck and back injury. So he was back. It was great to see him, but I don't know if this means we're going to actually see him wrestle, or is he just here for storyline purposes, to kind of advance what Will and Fletcher has going on, because he did, Fletcher did also remind him at some point. So he didn't guarantee it was going to be soon, but at some point he's going to have to make a decision. And yeah, man, I love Aussie Open, so I honestly believe Mark right now is being, a good middleman, but he might make the decision to join Fletcher. It'd be hard for me to see him without, Fletcher. They were such a great team, and they still had so much, in my opinion, that they could have done together. But I also can see a future where Fletcher is definitely continuing to be on his own, and maybe we get a singles run. But I just feel like injury right now is the big thing, and is he healthy? is he able to do his thing? And if they do a singles run thing, how far are they willing to actually go with it? Or are they going to just use him to advance Kyle Fletcher and Ospreay? But I don't know if he's healthy completely quite yet. I don't want to go out on a limb. But it was, like you said, a great moment, great storyline in our area. And I just, again, I know the Fletcher Ospreay match when we get it is going to be fun, but I am interested to see just how much they lean into that United Empire pass, especially since we're heading into January and AEW and New Japan will be working together a little bit more closely going into this next year with the big AEW show in Japan, and some of the stuff that I'm seeing could possibly be on Wrestle Kingdom leading up to with some of the stuff I'm starting to see might be going on at Wrestle Kingdom involving AEW. But we'll see. We'll see.
It's interesting times, I suppose. And then the most probably exciting bit of news to happen in AEW, it was Swerve Strickland versus Shelton Benjamin, main event of Fright Night. Swerve got the win, and then MVP made a call, and we saw Bobby Lashley making his AEW debut, beating up Swerve. I mean, man, this guy
What they
is
call
such a star.
necessary. He got there pretty quick, by the way.
Do you know what I mean? That's great phone connection. No, I'm not saying he was just waiting backstage, but, you know.
Did they call teleport him?
Yeah, exactly. If this was NXT, we'd be ripping into it. But let's talk about Bobby Lashley. I mean, I could say so much, but we'll just go round. So, Gina, first thoughts, Bobby Lashley in AEW versus Swerve. This is going to be great, but the question is, will Swerve lose? You know, he's on a bit of a losing streak or whatever it is, or is it too early to talk about it?
Yeah, no. So, I am so excited for Bobby Lashley to have joined AEW. This is exactly what I wanted. I'm glad that they did hold off on debuting Bobby Lashley until, like, the match between Shelton and Swerve, because I kind of didn't want Bobby to take away from Shelton's shine of joining AEW, you know, and he got to have like a match with like Leo Rush, and then now he's getting this match with Swerve. So I'm glad they waited before just, you know, coming straight out with Bobby, because I didn't want Shelton to get sort of forgotten within that mix. But the match was great between Shelton and Swerve, but seeing Bobby come out, he just looks so good. And I'm so excited because, again, I feel like, you know, the ball was dropped with him in previous promotions as well. So I do feel like he's gonna do well, I feel, in AEW, just in terms of how hot he is, and especially putting him back with MVP and Shelton. I'm just excited for more to come. Thing is, in a way, I feel like Swerve has to lose. Otherwise, this whole debut for Bobby is just going to be kind of null and void if Bobby comes in and loses right away to Swerve. But I don't know if they'll try and angle it so that they sort of rehash another, you know, feud that Swerve had, or even, you know, Hangman still getting behind him, and, you know, them kind of helping in a way, you know, tomfoolery outside or something. So they may still try and protect Swerve when he takes in an L to Bobby Lashley, and then come back to the Bobby Lashley and Swerve feud, you know. So I don't know which way they'll go for it, but I'm just super excited to see it play out.
Yeah, without a doubt. And this is the thing, you know, with Bobby Lashley and AEW, yes, it's a great feud with Swerve, but we need both of these men to be top of the card. And, you know, in a year's time, Bobby Lashley needs to be fight for AEW title, or, you know, to be there, because everywhere he's gone, he's won gold. And Jaxie, again, doesn't matter about age. Bobby Lashley coming into AEW, what we know he can do is a shot in the arm for AEW that they need.
Yeah, agree with everything that you guys have said, especially with what Gina was saying with, you know, sort of being excited at someone like Bobby Lashley in AEW. I think Bobby Lashley is the type of wrestler that could work in AEW because of like, and get over really well because of the type of, you know, talent that's actually on that roster would work really well for Bobby Lashley, and also give him the time that he actually deserves that WWE never really gave him. So, you know, I'm hoping that, you know, Tony actually books well with Bobby Lashley. That being said, I do see Swerve maybe losing to Bobby Lashley at this moment in time, because how could you have like Bobby Lashley lose to Swerve from a debut? That is exactly not how I would expect Bobby Lashley to start his AEW career and on the roster. But I also don't think that will impede Swerve as much as it would impede Lashley at taking the loss here. However, I just think that ultimately it's great to see both of these men looking to be pitted off against each other. They both look great and incredible. And I also want to just give a shout out to Shelton Benjamin. That match between him and Swerve was so good. I could have watched them go a little bit longer. I really could have, and I wouldn't have gotten bored. It was such a great bout between the two. And I think, James, you pointed this out earlier. This is Shelton Benjamin at his finest that WWE were not giving him the chance to do. So I really hope that TK also gives Shelton Benjamin his dues here and actually gives him the decent amount of screen time that he deserves too.
Yeah, I think that. I mean, we talk about WWE's booking of Bobby Lashley, and weirdly enough, I think, like I said, Vince's booking of Bobby was a lot better than what Triple H had done, and I think the proof is there. And again, Monty, like we said, with someone like Bobby Lashley, irrespective of Hurt Business or not, everywhere he's gone, he becomes successful because of who he is. And I don't know if I'm a little bit maybe worried about AEW's track record. We talk about Jay White or Brody King, but surely with Bobby Lashley, it's going to work out.
Yeah, I think it'll work, man. I just honestly, he stands out. I think the difference is between Bobby is nobody like him on their roster. The problem, not to say it was a problem in WWE. I don't think it was anybody like him in WWE, but because of the way things work there, the fact that it's always a revolving door and it's just always stuff getting pushed to the side, or we can just give you this backstage segment for right now, and then we'll figure something out for you, whatever. AEW gives more of the talent, more input. So I know, based on what MVP has said in the past, that Bobby and the crew are probably going to have more input on what they're doing and what they're involved with. And we know Tony is going to be, receptive to that type of style, because that's pretty much a lot of the great selling point for a lot of the talent. But I mean, just think about what Bobby is and who he is as a talent, and just all the way Shelton Benjamin is throwing people around in AEW. Bobby could do a similar thing. The thing is about Shelton is I always do. I just, even prior to the Hurt Business and even after the Hurt Business, WWE just still looked at Shelton as just Shelton, and from his first run, from my opinion, because he just never got the time and the attention that I felt like, if you watch his stuff in Japan before he ever went back to WWE, Shelton Benjamin has so much that he can do, and so much that he still can do no matter his age. And I think the wrestling focused stuff is going to be perfect for Shelton, as you guys have already seen. And now I'm just wondering what they're going to decide. How do they decide to go forward? Like you said, James, it's a chance that he could get thrown to the wayside, because we know it's a revolving door in AEW also. But I just feel like with Bob, in AEW, he has a chance to still get what he wants out of everything, and also be paid nicely to do it, because we know contracts, situations is really like, a lot of people can talk about booking, and that's true, especially towards the end there. They obviously did not have a clue what they wanted to do with Bobby, but the contract is also a big reason why he's in AEW. So, I think he'll be fine. I honestly do. And I think what we have all missed out in front of live crowds from the Hurt Business is what AEW is going to pick up where WWE should have decided to pick up from. I think we all know that they had a lot more that they could have done. And now I'm just kind of excited, I know that people are already saying Ricky Starks is gone, but I think this is a perfect place to possibly do him. And if you don't want to do Ricky Starks, because they just seem like they don't even know that guy exists anymore, when Powerhouse Hobbs is healthy, you can't tell me him and the Hurt Business or Hurt Syndicate or whatever they want to go by now in AEW doesn't fit perfectly for Hobbs. And he can learn from those vets, and he can be that young guy. Hell, if you even want, I know Leo got threw around by Shelton already, but Leo Rush and Bobby Lashley, I know they miss each other. They're great friends. He'll probably even fit in this incarnation. So I don't know, especially if they need a bump guy. I think Leo would be a great bump guy
Yeah,
for the group
I
too.
agree
So
with the
yeah,
the
man.
whole Hobbs thing as well. I agree.
Right,
Bring Hobbs in.
exactly. Like they need a young guy to put over, in my opinion. I think Hobbs will be perfect for the group if they want to go that route. But it is what it is. We'll see. But I think they'll be fine. I think it's money to be made there if they give it the time. And who knows where we're headed in the future of AEW. But I think from the storylines with Moxley and then having these type of additions and the potential is there to be a very fun end of the year going into 2025. And now we just need them to pick it back up in the women's division and give us some consistency with the tag division. I think, and also I think Bobby's team can help there because Shelton can team up with either Bobby or someone, or even if P want to get back in the ring, somebody can get in the tag division with Shelton, and they can go after Private Party. So it's so many options, man. I think they will be just fine if Tony gives them the chance.
Yeah, I think and I think that's an excellent way to end
I
it
also,
because. Go on.
can I also just add in real quick as well and just remind that, like, with the way that the BCC are kind of running things on AEW, it might be good to, get another big faction going together and eventually, have these two big factions go off against each other. And I would, for one, would love to see, the likes of Claudio going against Bobby Lashley as well, because if I recall correctly, they've had some great matches on WWE in themselves. So, we can also, have hope that something is going to be set in the future to go against, the BCC.
Yeah, without doubt. Well, like I said, we know at the moment in time, Moxley has declared war on AEW. The Elite has kind of left at this moment in time with the Bucks. We know we've got Bobby Lashley now with the Hurt Business, with Swerve being interested in there and that. Orange Cassidy's stepped up, so we'll see what happens at Full Gear. Of course, like I said, after that will be World's End, and then that will be AEW for the year. But it's interesting times. I feel like we're in a better place than AEW now than we have been in a little while, but we'll find out at Full Gear. So that is it. Don't forget, we're across all social media. Twitter at the WNR Podcast, I'm at the WNR JR, or WNR Pod James. I change it every week. And you can find the entire WNR team on the Twitter banner. Jack C, we'll start with you. Where can people find and follow you?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitch and X at Jackson Scarlett.
And Monty?
At Monty Pod on Twitter.
And Gina?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram, X, and Twitch at Purple Pain.
Perfect. The WNR also on Facebook and Instagram across all Google platforms. Send us an email at WNRpodcast@gmail.com. And YouTube, done podcasts with all latest clips and podcasts at the same time on YouTube as do SoundCloud on your phone. Also Spotify and iTunes, where you can download, subscribe, rate, and review there. So that is it. Our next episode will be next weekend, and it will be Crown Jewel. And we'll catch up with everything going on in WWE. I'm planning to do the New Japan show in a couple of weeks as well. So everybody better be prepared for that. But until then, I've been James Rowlands, and I was joined by the fantastic Jaxie Scarlett. And not only getting the win, but a perfect win as well. Well done, Jax.
Thanks. I want to say, watch out for this space because of, this is just the beginning, but I think this was very much luck. So let's see how we get on going forward.
And of course, the mind of Monty. Appreciate you joining me again for AEW. And it wasn't too bad in the end, was it? I mean, it's no NXT.
As long as Jackson's getting perfect, I guess I'm. You're right. The bonus league is over, right? So she can't.
Yeah, so it's done. It's done. But the genius of Gina, G-Site is still there. She has a chance to win WWE and AEW. She was a bit quiet today, but will the Empire strike back next week? What do you reckon, G?
Yeah, I'm going to do my best to 100%. GG's to Jax because that's a big win today. But yeah, next time I'm going to try and, make my way back there to be on the top. But to be fair, James, me and you just kept moving in order of each other. Like 1 minute I was above you, then we were even, then we were like, I don't know, you were above me. Like, so we just kept swapping. Hopefully I'll have a clear lead next time. So fingers crossed.
And if we've learned anything from Jaxie today, it shows that anybody can get lucky on one day. That is it. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Shut it.
And bye.